What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing the news from here in Taipei. During the Mid-Autumn Festival long weekend, when families and friends normally celebrate together, thousands of volunteers have instead converged in eastern Taiwan to help out a flood-stricken township. Some unfinished tasks there include clearing the drainage system and strengthening flood defenses. Irene Lin has more.
Voicing their gratitude through this traditional song, the Fatai'an indigenous people of Guangfu Township in Hualien are singing to the over 25,000 volunteers who spent their Mid-Autumn Festival long weekend helping them restore their homes to the way they were, before devastating flash floods swept over the town last month.
他们无私的来去帮我们去做抢修救灾的动作。我们用我们的法达案最高荣耀的答谢，来自四面八方的志工以及团队。
The main task on this holiday was clearing the gutters, vital to drain off the muddy water from hosing down houses and streets, and to prevent flooding from another potential dam breach or typhoon downpour.
因为南岸都是地势是低的，都是地势低，所以水一定要往这走，一定往南走。所以在这里的疏浚里面，我们要怎么样让水路能够稍微导水导到稍微北岸一点？ 让我们现在开始清沟清泥，但是这些都只是血管而已。但是重要的排水要排出去，还没有办法排出去。虽然我们路面干净了。
Residents on one of the outlying streets shouted their grievances at President Lai Ching-te when he came to check on cleanup progress. This is the second time Lai visited Guangfu to oversee recovery operations. He had previously ordered that most of the town be brought back to normal before this holiday weekend. Besides thanking the volunteers who spent their holiday helping the town, Lai also emphasized that there will be financial compensation for the flood victims, while officials keep working on flood prevention and finding ways to deal with the high-risk barrier lake that caused the flash floods in the first place.
后续到底要怎么样来解决，根本解决堰塞湖？那这个要专家学者跟水利工程单位。 大家来研究，但是呢，在堰塞湖还没有解决之前，并不是没有事情要做。堤防、深水槽，还有监控水流、河床河面的水流。另外一个就是撤离计划。
But the township head also raised concerns about the locals' livelihood and the local economy.
目前光复乡是没有商业行为，目前便当店没有，超市也没有，超商也没有，很多的商家。 到这一次灾后之后就不想营业了，变成以后光复乡真会很萧条。我想对光复乡产业，不管农业产业也好，商业也好，可以尽快来辅导。
While the center of the town is cleared, outlying communities that bore the brunt of the floods are still waiting for help to clear their buried farmland and homes, and hoping to celebrate having their lives back on track before the next holiday season. Fu Huahong and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
In 2 weeks, Taiwan's main opposition Kuomintang will elect its next leader. At a televised policy briefing, candidates tried to convince party members that they can bring positive change to the struggling party. Tiffany Wang reports.
Contenders for leadership of the Kuomintang are putting forward their visions for the opposition party, with many of them considering how to unify the party, which has been struggling since losing 3 presidential elections in a row. Former lawmaker Zheng Liwen, who was previously a member of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, said that she was open to working with the smaller opposition Taiwan People's Party in order to ramp up public support.
我们不只要团结国民党，我们要团结整个在野力量，乃至团结整个台湾的主流民意。所以，明年是否能够因此而顺利的赢得地方的大选？ 奠定蓝白河高度的互信的基础，跟变成是必赢的双城市，在这样的基础之上，相信2028的推动就会顺畅很多。
With winning the next presidential election at the top of the party's goals, some candidates are already strategizing how the party chair and presidential nominee can work together. Sun Yat-sen School President Zhang Yazhong, who has run several times for the KMT's top position and presidential nomination, said both positions need to work together.
我在上一次4年前参加党主席选举的时候就做过庄严的承诺，就是我认为选举党主席跟总统候选人兵权必须一致，才会避免双头马车的现象。 所以我做出一个承诺，如果我是党主席，我会把党主席所有的兵权交给总统候选人，由他统一指挥。
These televised appearances will continue ahead of the party's October 18th chair election. But notably absent from Sunday's policy briefings were two of the frontrunners, former Taipei Mayor Hao Longbin and KMT Caucus Secretary General Luo Zhiqiang. Both of them spent the weekend in Hualien in eastern Taiwan, where flood recovery efforts after a recent typhoon are still underway. Their absence comes after over a dozen KMT lawmakers criticized the planned total 14 televised debates and policy briefings happening every few days before the chair election. The lawmakers urged candidates to show more concern for the devastation in Hualien's Guangfu township, where 18 people died. One of the debates, scheduled for Saturday, was canceled. Despite party lawmakers' criticisms, the debates are drawing in hundreds of thousands of viewers nationally and gaining attention abroad. A former CIA analyst warned that the candidates' pro-dialogue approach to China and skeptical views of U.S. ties could be seen by Washington as the party not taking the threat of a Chinese invasion seriously, something the candidates may try to clarify in future policy briefings. With just 2 weeks before Election Day, candidates will be trying to put their best foot forward on the debate stage and on the ground to win over party members and the hearts of the public. Patrick Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
In Japan, Takaichi Sanae is likely to become the country's first female prime minister next week after winning the leadership of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. Analysts are already looking at how her foreign policy could change the dynamics in the region. John Van Trieste has this report.
Takaichi Sanae, Japan's self-declared Iron Lady, is on the way to the political top. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party declared her its next leader on Saturday. And that means on October 15th, she will likely become the first woman to serve as Japan's prime minister. She's well known for conservative viewpoints when it comes to domestic policy, but analysts are also looking at how her foreign policy might shape up, especially as, in her own words, Japan's security situation has grown more complex in recent years, with Russia, North Korea, and China all ramping up military activity nearby. This raises the question, what will be her relationship with the United States in the second Trump era? The U.S. plays a big role in Japan's security, but Japan is among the many countries that have friction with the U.S. over Trump's tariff policies. Here's what Takaichi says.
If, in practice, something was to arise that goes against Japan's national interest, I believe we should clearly state that within the framework of the Japan-U.S. talks. At the moment, we do not plan to overturn what has been agreed with the U.S.
But it's hard to know if a shared right-wing outlook between Takaichi and Trump will keep ties even-keeled.
Obviously, they share quite a nationalistic agenda. They've both said things that are pretty hostile towards the foreign residents and population of their respective countries. They're both people who have been on record questioning the right of the media to hold politicians accountable and to scrutinize political leaders. So that seems like something things that they have in common. But on the other hand, she's talking about wanting to revisit the deal that was done over tariffs to reduce the amount that Japan has promised to invest in the United States. And she's also a woman over the age of 40, which is not a demographic that Donald Trump tends to do very well with.
And how will she manage ties with her neighbors, especially China and the two Koreas, countries that still feel bitterness over past Japanese occupation? Will her strident nationalism create strain in the region?
Her visits, for example, to the controversial Yasukuni Shrine, which is the war memorial in Japan where a number of war criminals are also interred. This is going to make relations with China, South Korea, other countries that are occupied by Japan, more difficult.
But Takaichi sees things differently.
Yasukuni Shrine is the main facility for honoring the spirits of soldiers dead in war, and a shrine dedicated to peace. As for how we honor the deceased and how we pray for peace, these are matters we will judge appropriately at the right time. This is absolutely not something that should be turned into a diplomatic issue.
Then there's the issue of China's threat to invade Taiwan. Takaichi's mentor, the late Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, was a notable supporter of Taiwan, once saying, "A threat to Taiwan is a threat to Japan." On this front, she's made her stance explicit, telling the Hudson Institute she wants dialogue with Chinese leaders, that Taiwan's status quo shouldn't be changed through force, and that issues of Taiwan need to be resolved peacefully through dialogue. How big an impact Takaichi's policies will have depends much on how long she stays in office. Her role model, Britain's Margaret Thatcher, was prime minister for over a decade. But with the exception of Abe Shinzo, Japanese prime ministers have tended to come and go in recent years, in what's sometimes called a revolving door. Even before she's confirmed prime minister, though, think tanks and analysts are still grappling with what effect she might have on Japan and its place in the world. Alex Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
And just last week, Takaichi called Taiwan a, quote, important partner and valued friend of Japan and advocated for continued peace in the Taiwan Strait. For more on how Takaichi would change Japan's relationship with Taiwan, our reporter Larry Ichiano spoke with Ian Rowan, an associate professor at Kyushu University.
Assuming Takaichi Sane does become the next prime minister, would she prioritize defense, the economy, or societal problems that Japan is facing?
I think Takaichi's first priority is going to be shoring up her own position in the party, in parliament, and making sure that her coalition can stay together. She's spoken about fiscal stimulus. She's spoken about increasing Japan's presence in the world, increasing its military partnerships. She's also very known for having a socially conservative stance. But how she prioritizes this and what order she pursues this agenda remains to be seen. And how ambitious she can be is going to depend on how much she can shore up her own position in the party, in parliament, and nationally.
What do you think her victory means for Japan's ties with Taiwan?
She has met with Taiwan's leaders. She has visited Taiwan. She has hosted Taiwanese foreign minister within Japan. She's talked about a quasi-security alliance between Japan, Taiwan, India, and Australia. This perhaps has an increased impetus as the U.S. seems more and more like an unreliable partner under the current U.S. administration. So she may look set to pursue this. However, as Japan also recalibrates its relationship with China, and as the U.S. does so as well, the scope with which she can pursue that kind of agreement remains to be seen.
What about Japan's ties with other neighbors like China and South Korea, and obviously with the U.S.?
She's known for taking a more hawkish stance on China. She's known for wanting to build up Japan's military, to revise its constitution, like her predecessor and mentor in a way, former Prime Minister Abe. She's also spoken about a need to deepen security relationships with South Korea, in addition to Taiwan. That said, again, Japan and China's economic and trade ties are extremely important to both countries. And so, again, how she pursues this kind of security arrangement will remain to be seen. It's also possible that her hawkish stances on China have been calibrated to raise her profile in the party and nationally. So again, the distinction between what she says on campaign trails and in her past service as a minister and how she'll actually pursue things as prime minister is a question mark for all of Japan and for Taiwan as well.
That was Kyushu University Associate Professor Ian Rowan. And thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Head over to the TaiwanPlus website to see more of our news reports. Finally, take a look at the first ever International Pinball Biennial in France, where nearly 2,000 visitors per day are enjoying the classic games. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you next time.
我们就被看衰了嘛，但至少我们在比赛的过程中，我们不能对不起自己。
当你有能力的时候，我觉得就要为国家付出一些东西。
没有一场比赛是可以放弃，中华队没放弃，我们就不能放弃。
怎么样去走到最后，这就是我们展现我们的拼劲。
Probably the underdog. Sometimes it's the team that has the least expectations of it that just plays more relaxed and plays well.
恭喜中华队成为了2024年世界手打棒球赛的冠军。
我觉得体育它团结了一个国家。
This is the story of an underdog, a forgotten backbencher who took one swing and shocked the world. Team Taiwan, an underdog story, coming Monday, October 6th, 10 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.